my name's Lovell. I'm currently in the Snowman at the Peacock Theatre this season. I am dance captain this year, and I play a number of roles, as most of the cast do. My main role that I play is Scotty Snowman, but I also take part in a few other little roles throughout Act 1 and 2, including Mum, Fox, and Reindeer.
Lovely. And obviously, it's not your first time in the show, but then going back to it, what was it that first drew you to be part of it?
So this is my third year in the Snowman, and my second year here in town. My first year was on tour internationally, and I actually had never seen the show before I took part in it, but I knew of some dancers that had taken part in the show. So truthfully, that was what drew me to the show, was some dancers that I looked up to, that had got that contract, and I thought, oh, that's something I want to do as well.
And obviously, the Snowman's so known for, I presume, more the kind of the TV film than obviously the original book that it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously, kind of, when did you kind of first come along it? I guess when you were younger, I suppose.
Yeah, when I was younger, through the film first. And it's just one of those iconic stories that everyone knows, and the music, of course, too. And yeah, that iconic scene of the boy in the snowman flying, it sticks with you. It's sort of a symbol of Christmas, I think.
Yes, I fully agree. And obviously, this year's the kind of 25th year of the show. Kind of, why do you think it's had that longevity?
I mean, it's such an exceptional show, and for a lot of our audience members, it's the first time that they've ever been to the theatre, which is actually really something quite special. We're introducing them into this world, and it's a show that's packed full of magic. There's so much going on with the set, and obviously the flying, and when you get with the animals and things in, it really, really captures the children. And I hope it's something that it sort of invites them into the world of theatre, and I think that's what's so important about this show.
Yes. And then obviously, as you touched on in the introduction, you play a number of parts like you all do. How do you kind of balance all of that?
So it is a little bit tricky. Sometimes there are some moments of identity crisis across the cast, but you just have to be organised and on top of everything, know where you're going at all points. And I think just important to check, because we have varying casts, so check which cast is on that evening, and last minute changes can happen, so we just all got to kind of be on it as a team.
Then how do you then maintain it? Obviously, I know we've kind of talked, and you kind of do kind of 6-show weekends and everything. How do you kind of maintain yourself?
The stamina's the hard thing, knowing how to pace yourself and not give everything in the first show, and then not be able to do the last one of the 6 or 9 show weekends. But more than anything else, it's feeding off the audience. So especially on the weekend shows are our busiest. In fact, this weekend we're pretty much sold out. So having that in the audience is really what gets you through, because when you hear the audience reactions, which are most of the time really loud, things like when Santa comes out, the kids go nuts, and it really just, it hits home. It makes you, realise why you do it. So it is the audiences that pull us through. If we're starting to feel a little bit like, oh gosh, we need a break now, the audiences get us through.
Yes. And as you touched on, you're playing some animal type roles. Do you have to then, I know obviously it's your third year, but do you have to then kind of do research and into their movement to kind of bring it into your performance?
We do kind of do that all in the studio. So we have, in Act 1, the animal scene with the motorbike, we have a rabbit, a fox, a badger, and a squirrel. So they all move completely differently. So we do workshop that amongst us. It's all the female ensemble that take those roles on, and we workshop particularly how each character moves individually, getting on and off stage. So we do spend a bit of time on that.
Yes, and as you touched on again, dance captain this year. For those who don't know, what does that entail differently for your role?
So my job, once our choreographers have left, is to keep the show in shape, look after the show, especially when we're working with the young boys. So we have 3 boys in the show, and they alternate the role of the boy. And 2 of them this year are very young. It's their first show. They're only 9 years old. So a big part of my job is looking after those boys, working with the professional ensemble, and making sure that if they have little moments where they have little gaps, in the schedule, they'll have 2 or 3 days off and then come back, just going through things, making sure it's all there. We have little rehearsals mainly for the boys before most shows to keep that in check, really.
Yeah, and again, you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but even this afternoon, I've been to see like a curve. They got a kids' Dear Santa, and obviously the Snowman. Yeah. Kind of how important is it, and how rewarding is it then for you when you're kind of stood on stage and you see those kind of younger faces kind of so engaged with the show?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like it, especially, because we have good visual of the audience. In the aisles, we see, especially towards the end, we get all the little ones there up on their feet and they're dancing along with us, which, yeah, it really hits home, because that's what we were when we were young, and knowing that you're sort of inviting the next generation into theatre, it's really special.
Yes, I certainly think like dance isn't kind of seen either. Kind of you get like the one I saw doing kind of it's just a straight kind of theatre. You don't see dance much, which is kind of lovely. Yeah. Now I'm going to ask you some Christmas questions.
Oh, quick fire Christmas.
No, they're not hard. What your Christmas favourites are? So, what is? I mean, you probably say Snowman, but what is your favourite Christmas film?
My favourite Christmas film, I am a sucker for The Holiday. But I would say that's my favourite. That's always the one that I'll watch on Christmas Eve.
Solid. What is your favourite part of Christmas dinner?
Oh, my favourite part of Christmas dinner, I think it's got to be the roast potatoes, hasn't it? They've got to be the best bit.
Yes. Great. What is your favourite Christmas song?
Favourite Christmas song? Big fan of Michael Bublé. He defrosts it up every year. His album out. But in that album, I love Jingle Bells with the Beanie Sisters.
Yes, that's the whole album's just great. But
I know.
Solid. And if Felice Navidad is top tier.
Yeah.
Top tier. Do you have any favourite Christmas traditions?
Favourite Christmas traditions? Let me think. I mean, I do always like to have my tree on the 1st of December. I am actually considering getting a little Christmas tree for the theatre this year to put in my dressing room, because I spend more time in the dressing room than I do at home. Yeah. So, yeah, the Christmas tree is probably the biggest one.
Solid. And this is going to be divisive, what is your favourite Christmas chocolate?
Oh, I think Terry's chocolate orange. I think that's my favourite. Yeah, that's the first one that's coming to mind. So that must be my favourite.
Good choices. Back to non-theatre questions out. These are the 2 questions I ask everybody. So what was the first piece of theatre you saw in your life that had a big impact on you?
I think the most notable one that sticks with me is I saw a production of it was Matthew Bourne's Sleeping Beauty, and I think I must have been about maybe 10, 11, and I remember watching that and that being the moment where I went. I don't think I knew at that point what sort of world I wanted to work in, but the storytelling in that company and that show particularly, I had to do it. So yeah, that one.
And then what does theatre mean to you just generally?
I think because for most people, most performers, theatre is their whole lives. It's such a big part of what we do and who we are and every moment of our waking life. I think the most important thing for me with theatre, and this is possibly because I'm a teacher as well, it's knowing that it's sort of this gift that passes through generations, that you take it and you look after it for a little bit whilst you have your performing career, and then you give it on to someone else, and it keeps theatre alive.
Beautifully put. My final question then for you is, why should anyone out there who's not already book to come and see the Snowman?
Well, I think it's just, I mean, I'm biased, but I think it is just the most magical Christmassy show. So if you're not in that Christmassy spirit, that this is the show that'll put you in that feeling ready for Christmas. And it's not just a show for kids as well. You know, there are so many moments there that you know, the whole family will enjoy as well. So yes, it's just the epitome of finding your Christmas spirit.
Yes, fully agree. The Snowman is on at the Peacock Theatre until the 31st of December.